based on what they are made of. So it's starch, wheat, and rice. So I feel like when you are in a restaurant, you will see the lo mein and the chow mein. That's what we are talking about. Noodles, we will think about that, but not this kind of instant noodles. So, yeah.
Okay. So let's just go into the main discussion. We'll be right back to the game. So how about in China? What are some key food items in your cuisine? Like there's noodles. What other kinds?
So usually because we have a lot of choices to choose from, so we don't have key items for all kinds of food. But we do have key items for the staple food. So usually people choose from rice, noodles, and a bun. So these are typical 3 staple foods for Chinese.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Very cool. It's kind of similar to Rwanda. There's a lot of carbohydrates and starches, which are basically like potatoes, a lot of French fries. When I went there, I ate them with every meal. There's a lot of pasta, rice, plantains. They're kind of like bananas, if you know them. There's some vegetables, too. Rwanda, those are the main staples. They don't have a lot of, like, it's noodles or anything. Not a lot of protein. So like meats and things like that. There's a lot of beans to get protein from them. What is the typical diet of a Chinese person? Do they eat noodles all the time or other things?
Usually I think we eat noodles like once a week. It's kind of like we eat different things every day, but probably noodles will show up on our table once a week.
Yeah?
Wow. How about that in Rwanda?
In Rwanda, I didn't have like lo mein or you said chow mein, I think too. But there was just like spaghetti pasta that you're used to in the United States. There was potatoes with every meal, either if they were fries or if they were just boiled potatoes. So that was a lot. Probably not for breakfast. For breakfast, I normally have like bread and fruit, maybe tea, stuff like that. There were eggs, I think, too.
Oh, yeah.
But the eggs in Rwanda were actually different. Like here, when you hard boil them, they're like white on the outside and then yellow on the inside. There, it was like white on the outside and like whitish gray on the inside. And I didn't know if they tasted the same, so I didn't know if that was like difference in like chicken.
Are they also the same size? Like
they're about the same size. They are brown eggs though, so maybe that was a difference.
Okay, so actually in China is also one of the most popular food ingredients. It's like
eggs.
Yeah, eggs can be used for any kind of cuisine, including dessert, the staple food, and any kinds of food. It's I think the first popular food.
Wow, because I feel like in the U.S. we only really eat them for like maybe lunch, but mostly breakfast. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So in China, do they have a typical like breakfast, lunch, dinner like we do in the U.S. or at the same times and everything?
We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like I think kind of like what American people do, but we have an old saying which is still popular as a guideline. It's people say, eat good for breakfast, eat enough for lunch, and eat less for dinner. So I don't know how and when it came out, but it's very popular in the household.
Yeah, that makes sense. Not in Rwanda. In Rwanda, they eat similarly to us. Light breakfast, medium lunch, medium to large dinner. But like when I went to France, I know they do that. They eat a lighter dinner and a bigger lunch.
Right.
So what are like common foods in China? You mentioned noodles, like snacks maybe.
I think in China, we don't have a common food because it really depends on your personal preference, because you have a lot of things that anything you want, you can add into the bowl and into your dish. So we don't have common food.
Okay. What about like drinks? Do people drink certain things? There's sodas, milk, water?
Oh yeah, for the drinks, tea is definitely the most popular drink.
Yeah.
And the water. So
really?
Chinese people usually don't drink soda or carbonated juice. They really love water.
Oh, wow.
Hot water.
So in Rwanda, tea is also like a really common drink. They drink it with almost every meal. I know when I stayed with my host family, they put tea into their cereal and like ate the cereal instead of with milk. It was really interesting.
I'll try.
Yeah, but in Rwanda, water is a little harder to get. It's more expensive because of the water quality in Rwanda. So they actually do drink a lot of sodas. They come in like the glass bottles that you've seen, like of Coca-Cola, the glass bottles, and they reuse those. Like after they're done, they recycle them and then they send them back to the factory and then they clean them out and then reuse them. And they're also really like Fanta, if you've heard of Fanta. Yeah? Has anyone heard of Fanta? So like the orange is what I think of here, because in the US I think that's most popular. Maybe grape too. But in Rwanda they have Fanta Fiesta, which I don't really know the flavor. It might be a mix between like different berries, which is, it's like a purple color, and then they have Fanta and like citron, which is kind of like a carbonated lemonade, which everyone on my program really likes. Do you want to go with your game now, and then we'll continue?
Yeah, we can do the game now. So the pictures are people making noodles and different bowls of noodles. So each picture above will match each picture under the screen. So can you match them correctly? There are three different kind of noodles. I will give you a couple of seconds.
Okay.
So you have an answer in your mind? Okay, I'm gonna show you the answer now.
We didn't have a chance. Okay.
Did you get all of them correct? So these noodles also have very interesting names. The first one is pin rolled noodles because it is made by the pin. And the second one is knife sliced noodles because the chef used knife to slice the noodles. And the third one is hand pulled noodles because you can see it is chef using their hands stretching the noodles. So these three kinds of noodles are naming after their cooking method and the tools. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot about noodles in China, but I know whenever I get Chinese food here, I get lo mein. Has anyone ever heard of lo mein? Do you eat that? Yeah, I love them. So is lo mein made like any of these, or is it made differently? Do you know?
I think here probably lo mein is made by machine.
Yeah.
Because in China, there are few people just making noodles by hands. It's like factory make and produce noodles. So I think here, to be more efficient and to be more quick, there will be a lot of noodles just made by the machine and then move to the grocery stores, and then the restaurants can just buy them from the grocery stores.
All right, so we can talk a little more about our countries, and then we'll have a little assessment. You mentioned common foods in your country. I mentioned tea. I know other common foods. I also mentioned fries. I love them. I eat them every day. I almost got a little tired of them. Not quite. There's these things called brochettes in Rwanda, which is French for skewers, actually, because in Rwanda they speak French and also Kenya, Rwanda, and also English, good thing. And basically they're skewers of either like goat meat or cow meat, most likely goat though. And everyone on my program got them because they were really quick. And the restaurants in Rwanda were very quick. And they were really tasty, apparently, and they were really inexpensive. So everyone got them. If you don't eat meat, but you eat fish, they also had ones with fish on it. But fish isn't very common in Rwanda because it's a landlocked country, which means that other countries border it on every side. It doesn't have any room for the ocean or the sea or anything. So they don't get a lot of fresh fish there.